Pentagon today announced the U.S. is sending military assets closer to Israel, including one of the Navy's most advanced aircraft carriers. Courtney Kuby covers the Department of Defense for us. She was first to report this move. Courtney, what do we know?
Hey guys, Raf here from the Endgame Investor, and it's been a heavy couple of days for the Jewish people. It's been emotionally disturbing. 1,000 of us have been murdered. Women have been raped to death. Children have been tortured live online. I have not seen any of these videos. I do not want to. There are something like 150 hostages in Gaza right now, men, women, and children. Hamas has threatened to execute them if we do not stop bombing the Gaza Strip. So I wanted to address the question of how Jews are supposed to handle this situation according to the Torah, according to our rabbis, not according to the state of Israel and all their idiotic leaders or evil leaders or whoever is in charge. I don't even want to talk about them. I'm not rooting for the government of Israel or the state of Israel. I'm rooting for the people of Israel. And unfortunately, we are under the dictates of the state of Israel right now. But I'm trying my best to separate the two. I mean, people are asking me about the end game and Gog and Magog, or the final war. I don't know much about it. Nobody really knows much about it, but I can give you the basics on how Jews see the war of Gog and Magog, what it is, who is participating in a basic sense, what signs we can look out for. Is this really the end game? I don't know. I'm not a biblical expert in terms of prophecy. Nobody really is. These things can be interpreted in many different ways. I'll give you one of them, and perhaps it fits in, perhaps it doesn't. And after that, we'll go into what the Torah actually says about a situation when there are Jewish captives that are taken by an enemy who is using them as pawns to stop a war. So first of all, I heard that the United States is sending the USS Gerald Ford Strike Task Force Group, or whatever the hell it's called, which contains a whole bunch of warships and an aircraft carrier, apparently the largest that has ever been built, the most expensive, the most advanced, blah, blah, blah. They're just like sending it to the Eastern Mediterranean. Well, I wonder why. Back in the Yom Kippur War in 1973, 50 years ago, Israel had to beg the United States for assistance, and we finally got it from Nixon when we were about to fall, and we had to threaten the Nixon administration with a nuclear option so that they would give us enough weapons. I don't even know if that's true. That is the establishment storyline. I wasn't there. I wasn't even alive. And if I had been, I wouldn't have been involved. But the point is, now they're just sending a huge aircraft carrier, the most expensive and the most advanced in the world, just turning it around and sending it to Israel. This sounds like they want to get involved in a war. And we all know that the Brandon administration wants to get involved in a war because that's all it has. It has no support at home, and drumming up war propaganda and being involved in foreign wars is like the only card that they can play. And here is the USS Gerald Ford Strike Force Task thing.
The Pentagon announcing the USS Gerald R Ford carrier strike group is heading to the Eastern Mediterranean. Now, that includes the Navy's newest aircraft carrier, the Ford, and cruisers and 4 guided missile destroyers.
Hi. Pleased to meet you. I just moved in. My name is Jerry Ford.
Anyway, this thing is headed to Israel. I don't know what it's going to do, but on the other side, you have the Iranians and Russia, possibly. You have America on one side with its warship, most expensive, most advanced warship ever built, aircraft carrier, whatever they want to call it, headed to Jerusalem. And on the other side, you have the Arabs, the Ishmaelim, and the Persians, the Iranians, and Putin, who could be identified with Gog, as he would be the most powerful man that would be in charge of this coalition. Russia is more powerful. Iran is sort of like in the middle. And at the bottom, you have the rest of the Arabs, the Ishmaelim, who are sort of like the peanut gallery of that side of the world. What is Gog and Magog? I don't know. But here's what the Malbim says, a 19th century rabbi. Here is the verse. This is in Ezekiel chapter 38, verse 2. Ben Adam sim panech el Gog eretz hamagog nesi rosh meshech v'tuval v'hinaveh alav. O mortal, who's talking to Ezekiel, turn your face toward Gog of the land of Magog. It's not Gog and Magog, it's Gog, who is the king of the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tuval, prophecy against him. There's some speculation that this might refer to Putin. I have no idea, really, because Putin has both the title of president and prime minister of Russia, I believe. Is that even true? This is rumors that I hear, but you can all decide for yourselves. It doesn't really matter who it is. Here is the situation. We have already reviewed how Ezekiel has prophecy that in the end of days, all of the nations will fight around Jerusalem. It won't be Israel fighting. It'll be other countries fighting around Israel, around Jerusalem. On one hand, one side it will be Egyptians and Assyrians, Syria, the Elam lands around Syria, say Jordan and other places. Shema Yishmaelim, these are the Arabs, the Ishmaelites. And the other side will be the Edomites, meaning Meshech and Tuval and Nesiche Edom, the princes of Edom, the powerful. That's the term for the West. They're symbolized by Edom. The Western powers, Europe and America, is an extension of Europe, a new form of Europe, new world crossing in the 18th century. And they'll all kill each other. Basically, it's going to be a war between Yishmael, the Arabs, and Edom, the West, where Russia fits in. I'm not sure. Maybe he leads the Arabs, maybe he doesn't. Malim continues here. The Chazal, that's the rabbis of the Talmud. 3 times Gog is going to come is going to advance on Yerushalayim, on Jerusalem. In Ezekiel, it talks about 2 of those times. The third time is mentioned in Zechariah, and that starts on the holiday of Sukkot. This war started on the last day of Sukkot, well, technically Shmini Atzeret, the 8th day, which is not really part of Sukkot, but it's the final holiday, the postscript to Sukkot, to the Feast of Booths, so to speak. And that is when the massacre occurred. So here he says something very interesting. We don't know who Gog and Magog are. We don't know where these things are or who these people are exactly. He is the president and the head of Meshech and Tuval, which some speculate is Russia. Hemi b'nei Yefet. They're from Yefet, meaning they're not Semites, and they're not Hamites. They're not from Africa, and they're not from the Middle East. They're from somewhere else. They're uncircumcised. So the Arabs, the Muslims are circumcised, so it's not them. They will wake up at the end of days. Here's the key. After the people of Israel have already returned to the land of Israel and are living there in relative quiet, which is now. We are back there now. I am here right now, and I ain't moving. So we know that the final war of Gog and Magog will start on Sukkot. We know that this war started on the final day, the postscript Shmini Atzeret to Sukkot. It was a Jewish holiday. It was typically the biggest party in the Holy Temple for the year, called Simchas Beis HaShoeva. It was turned to bloodshed and murder and rape and torture, and they will pay for it with their lives. I don't know if they will do it this round. I don't know if we will be victorious in this round, because we don't have the leaders to be victorious, because we don't have leaders that even want victory. But the Jewish people are eternal, and we will absolutely win this war, for God's sake, come the time. Can't believe I'm even talking about this, but what I expect from the endgame investor is going to be an endgame. If it is the endgame, this is going to be involved in it. It does look like the West is sending its most powerful weapons to Jerusalem to fight the Arabs and the Persians. Iran is being mentioned here. If this happens, the dollar will certainly collapse because oil will head to $300, $400 a barrel. And now, as for what Israel has to do, at least according to the Torah, according to the rabbis, the authentic rabbis, not the rabbis that exist today. This is a responsa, a question that was answered directly by Rav Henkin. I believe he was an early 20th century American. Could be wrong on that, but I'll read the answer and his reasoning, and it might shock you, but this is the Jewish position. And any Jew who says otherwise is wrong. This is Shelos HaTshuvos B'nai Banim Chelik Rishon Mem Gimel. So this is a responsa called B'nai Banim, grandchildren, just the name of the book, written by Rav Henkin, American-based rabbi in the 20th century, I believe. So we do not pay attention to the danger of hostages, because in war, nobody gets personal protection. You can embark on a military operation to kill the captors. So if it is impossible to go about a military operation, right? If you're not in the position to do that, you do not have to comply with the demands of the captors to save the lives of the hostages, and you can leave them to their devices. Rahman al-Islam, God forbid, but that's what has to happen. Why is that? Because morality requires thinking. It doesn't just require bleeding heart reactions, knee-jerk reactions. Oh, there are hostages and it is horrible. However, to try to extricate them risks possibly even more lives, or to, God forbid, comply with the demands of the captors will risk even more lives in the future, as has shown with the deal that Israel got Gilad Shalit back, I think, in 2011, and released a whole bunch of murderers. How many of those murderers were involved in the current massacre of Jews, of 1,000 Jews? If we play this game and negotiate with captors, then we're going to end up killing ourselves. So morality is a calculus. It is something that has to be thought about. It is not, you just say there are hostages and you have to save them. That's not the Torah position. You know what bleeding heart, knee-jerk, fake morality got us into in 2020? COVID and lockdowns and forced medical interventions. Oh, if it saves one life, it's worth it. Lockdowns for children and keep them from school, it's worth it because it saves lives. Well, you have to think about this. You can't just react on what you think morality might be. You have to think deeply about what should be done. These people, Rahman al-Islam, it's sad to say, but they are as good as dead, and we have to win this war. And winning the war means complete submission by the other side. No conditions. Peace is something that you get after you win a war. It is not something that you negotiate while you are fighting. You win the war, and then you get peace. This war has been going on for 70 years, for over 70 years, and it is time that we win it. I don't think we will at this round because we don't have the leadership to do so, but eventually we will.
The U.S. is also adding additional air power on land near Israel, including F-35s, the most advanced fighter aircraft in the U.S. arsenal.